Most people think Japanese curry is just Indian curry made a little milder. Same idea, same dish, just adapted for Japan. But that is not really what happened, because Japanese curry is not simply a weaker version of another curry. It is a different dish, with a different history, a different texture, and a completely different role on the table. And once you understand how it was built, Japanese curry stops looking like a copy and starts looking like exactly what it is.
One of Japan's most successful comfort foods. So what is Japanese curry, actually? At first glance, it seems easy to define. It is usually a thick brown sauce served with rice, often with onions, carrots, and potatoes. Sometimes with beef, chicken, or pork. Sometimes topped with a crispy cutlet, like katsu curry. It looks familiar enough that many people assume they already understand it. But here is the first thing most people get wrong. Japanese curry is not just curry, but Japanese. It belongs to a different culinary logic. If many Indian curries are built around layered spice expression, regional variation, and sauce structures that can range from light to rich, dry to soupy, creamy to sharp, Japanese curry tends to move in another direction. It is thicker, smoother, sweeter, less spice-forward, more stew-like, more unified. It is designed less to showcase individual spices and more to deliver comfort, balance, and depth in one cohesive sauce. And that difference starts with its history. Because Japanese curry did not enter Japan directly from India in the way many people imagine. It arrived largely through Britain. In the late 19th century, during the Meiji period, Japan was rapidly modernizing and absorbing foreign influences. Western-style food entered Japanese life in many forms, and one of those forms was curry. But the curry that entered Japan was not a direct transfer of Indian home cooking. It was already filtered through British interpretations of curry, especially curry powder and curry-style stews that had become popular in Britain during the colonial era. In other words, by the time curry reached Japan, it had already changed once, and then Japan changed it again. This is the part many people never hear. Japanese curry is often considered part of yoshoku, Western-influenced Japanese cuisine. That means it is not pretending to be untouched tradition from centuries past. Its identity is adaptation, and that is not a weakness. That is the point. One reason curry spread so effectively in Japan was practical. It fit institutional cooking. It was filling, easy to portion, and easy to serve with rice. The Japanese Navy famously adopted curry as a regular meal, in part because it was efficient and nutritionally useful. Schools, cafeterias, military systems, and home kitchens helped normalize it. And over time, curry rice, or kare raisu, stopped feeling foreign. It became ordinary, then familiar, then deeply comforting. That transformation matters. Because Japanese curry is not famous only because of flavor. It is famous because of repetition, routine, and emotional memory. For many people in Japan, curry is not exotic. It is weeknight food, school lunch food, family food, rainy day food. The kind of meal that feels warm before you even take the first bite. And this emotional role helps explain why Japanese curry tastes the way it does. Because the goal is not maximum spice impact. The goal is broad appeal, rounded flavor, and a texture that coats rice beautifully. Now here is where the dish becomes really interesting. Japanese curry usually begins with familiar aromatics like onion, and often includes carrots and potatoes. That alone already pushes it closer to stew territory than many people expect. The meat can vary. Beef is common. So is pork. Chicken appears often too. But the deeper identity of Japanese curry is not the protein. And it is not even just the spice blend. It is the sauce structure. And that structure changed everything. Unlike many curries in South Asia or Southeast Asia, Japanese curry is often built with roux. A roux is a cooked mixture of fat and flour used to thicken sauces.
In Japanese curry, this became the defining mechanism that gave the dish its signature body.
This is one of the biggest differences. Japanese curry is not just flavored liquid with spices in it. It is usually a thickened, constructed sauce. That is why it clings to rice so differently. That is why it feels heavier, smoother, and more unified. That is why many people say it feels like a cross between curry and stew. And in modern home cooking, this logic became even more standardized through curry roux blocks. Those boxed curry roux products changed Japanese cooking dramatically. Because now, instead of building the curry entirely from raw spices every time, home cooks could rely on a ready-made base that already contained seasoning, thickener, and flavor balance. That made curry even more accessible, even more repeatable, even more domestic. And this is one reason Japanese curry became so deeply embedded in everyday life. Not because it was complicated, but because it was reliable. Now let's talk about flavor. Why does Japanese curry taste so different from Indian curry or Thai curry? Part of it is spice structure. Japanese curry often uses curry powder and spice blends in a softer, rounder way. You may still find notes of turmeric, cumin, coriander, clove, cinnamon, cardamom, or black pepper, but they are usually blended into one overall profile instead of being presented as sharply distinct voices. Part of it is sweetness. Many Japanese curries contain sweetness from onions cooked down over time, from fruit, from honey, from grated apple, or from the general formulation of the roux itself. Part of it is umami. Stock, meat juices, soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and long-cooked vegetables can all deepen the flavor. And part of it is texture, because texture changes how flavor is perceived. A thick sauce feels fuller, longer, more coating, more comforting. That is why Japanese curry often feels milder than it really is. Its spice is cushioned by body. Now, here's another thing most people miss. Japanese curry is not one single format. Curry rice may be the default image, but the curry world around it is much bigger. Katsu curry puts a breaded, fried cutlet on top, adding crunch and richness. Curry udon turns the curry into a noodle dish with a looser sauce. Dry curry exists in multiple forms, from minced meat versions to drier rice-based interpretations. Some regions and restaurants lean sweeter, some darker, some more peppery, some thicker, some more explicitly stew-like. So even inside Japanese curry, there is variation. But all of it stays within the same emotional universe: comfort, familiarity, and sauce built for rice. And this leads to one of the most important points in the whole video. The wrong question is often, is Japanese curry authentic? Because authentic to what? To India? To Britain? To Meiji-era adaptation? To school lunch memory? To homemade curry roux? To restaurant-style katsu curry? The better question is, what tradition is this dish actually part of? And the answer is this: Japanese curry is an adapted Japanese comfort dish, shaped by British influence, curry powder culture, roux-based sauce logic, and everyday home cooking. It does not need to be basically Indian to be real, and it does not need to deny its roots to have its own identity. That is what makes it interesting. Japanese curry tells a bigger story than many people realize. It is a story of global movement, colonial rerouting, national adaptation, institutional food, home cooking, and emotional familiarity, all inside one brown sauce on top of rice. So if you only remember one thing from this video, let it be this: Japanese curry is not just a Japanese version of someone else's dish. It is its own culinary system, thicker, smoother, sweeter, more unified, and built for comfort. That is why it tastes so different, and that is why it matters. So now I want to ask you, when you think of Japanese curry, do you see it more as curry, more as stew, or as something completely in between? And if you want to understand the ingredient that gives so many Japanese dishes their deep, savory base, watch the video on miso next.